What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. All right, let's talk about some shit tonight. So we're going to talk about HMB, which, let's date back to, shit, it had to be about 1990. So 93 is when I graduated high school. So probably about 94, I think about 95, because that's when I was still natural as a 19-year-old teenager in 1995. And Bill Phillips put out Muscle Media 2000. He had EAS, which is his brand, Experimental and Applied Sciences, I think the name of the company was. And he had a couple of products out. One was called G2G, V2G, Phosphagen, which was the first, besides MuscleTech, creatine that hit the market. And in his magazine, he was famous for having like an article written with all this like scientific shit. And then the opposite page was the supplement that they were reviewing. So it was like, you read all this stuff, you're like, oh wow, this is amazing. Oh, there it is, I can buy it right here. Holy cow, great, this is so easy. So right after you're done reading it and your interest is in it, it was like marketing. It was right in your face. It hit you right in the face on the other page. And this happened a lot with their supplements. And I used some of them. I did think the Phosphagen was good. I did like the V2G. Or what was the other one? GKG. I really liked that one. That one was really good. The glutamine alpha ketoglutarate. I really liked that one. But there was another product that was on one of the, it was an article and then there was an ad, but it wasn't EAS. It was Metabolic Technologies was the name of the company. And it didn't even dawn on me. It's like the same fucking bottle as the other supplements, pretty much the same label with a different font and stuff on it. But it was essentially the same thing. Didn't dawn on me, again, because I read this thing about HMB. It was like the hottest thing, brand new. Nobody had even covered it. Nobody even talked about it yet. And yet he was selling it in his magazine and had a big article about it's, 10 times more productive than leucine, and it builds muscle, and it does this, it does that, protein synthesis. Like, you're reading it going, holy shit, this is like a steroid. So you look at the other page where it had the ad on it, and it was like, one bottle, like, $39 or whatever, or $49 or whatever. It was kind of expensive. Buy 3 bottles discounted, buy 6 bottles discounted. So I'm like, oh, we can get a discount. This thing's like taking steroids. This is going to keep me from taking steroids. It was one of the last things I used before I took steroids, hoping that this would work. And I told my training partner, Donnie, about it. So we ordered them. I think we ordered 3 bottles each, bought the 6-pack, split it, and we got the bigger discount. And we started taking these HMB pills. Now, I was excited. Even if there was going to be a placebo, something would happen, anything. Nothing fucking happened. I mean, fucking ungats. Nothing. Nada. And I was like, what the fuck? So at that point, me and Donnie were just like, fuck it. We should just do it on steroids because we've wasted so much money on a lot of this shit. And we know that our friends are taking them in steroids and they look great. So inevitably, we're going to have to go that fucking route. So let's stop fucking wasting all this money, which literally you could buy a bottle of testosterone for what we paid for these fucking, or a thing of D-ball or something for what we paid for these HMB. And by that time, it started to come around, other companies started picking up on it. It became a big fucking fad, like everything else that happens in the supplement industry that doesn't work. People promote the fuck out of it in the magazines, which is where they did it back in the day. And then once it caught on in all the magazines, every one of these fucking companies started producing it. And eventually it just fell away. Like nobody talked about it anymore. It disappeared. Now it's still around because it's not harmful. So they leave it on the market and hope that some fucking newbies read this data that they have, or they had, that would get them to buy it. And people still buy it nowadays. And they say stuff like, oh, I take a whopping dose of it. Hang on. So it's a metabolite of leucine. So if you take leucine, leucine doesn't build muscle. Leucine activates muscle protein synthesis. You still need the other essential amino acids to get leucine to even work. So if leucine by itself doesn't work, then what makes you think that fucking HMB would? I didn't know this back in the day. Right? Just like sumaroot. Sumaroot works fantastic. You take the beta-actysterone out of it, it doesn't work the same way. Everything else that's in the sumaroot works synergistically, which is what makes it work. But if you take some sumaroot, sounds fucking stupid. So they extracted beta-actysterone, which sterone sounds like steroid. They marketed it, didn't do shit. Take the sumaroot by itself, works great, right? So same thing. So if leucine doesn't build muscle by itself, why the fuck would HMB build muscle, right? How would they get that to work? Exactly. So it was a fucking dud. Like I said, some places still sell it. Beware, because it's fucking garbage. It doesn't do shit, right? Now, we know now that HMB, of course, sucks. Now, there's something that I can kind of, I'm not going to compare it to it, but if you're somebody who likes HMB, you can use something called CORTYCEPS. Now, CORTYCEPS is in my product called T2G. There's 3 adaptogens. You have Shilajit, you have the with sumaroot in it, and the CORTYCEPS. All 3 are adaptogens that actually have studies backing them up. Real life studies and real life people using them. All 3 of them are in here. We're going to go over what HMB does and doesn't do, and what CORTYCEPS does and doesn't do. You can get this in the description box down below. Now, HMB, a metabolite of leucine. So leucine gets broken down, but about 5% of leucine is broken down into HMB in our body. So even when you take massive amounts of leucine, it's not breaking down into much of the HMB. It says the main compound that stops the breakdown of muscle tissue, also known as catabolism. They're talking about leucine, right? So is HMB better than leucine, right? Now we have NIH.gov. This is on conclusions. Beta hydroxymethylbutyrate, or HMB, added to whey protein did not result in greater increases in any measure of muscle mass, strength, or hormonal concentration compared to leucine added to whey. It doesn't do shit. The leucine does the same fucking thing. It initiates muscle protein synthesis, but without the other amino acids, it don't do shit. So essentially, if you're taking essential amino acid form and you got leucine in it, HMB is fucking just, it's pulling the money out of your wallet is what it's doing. Our results show that HMB is no more effective in stimulating RT-induced hypertrophy and strength gains than leucine. Okay? Now, that's what they talk about now. This was back in the day, right? They were talking about this shit back in the day. HMB does fucking nothing. And all these studies now prove it, but they're still selling it. And some dumb motherfuckers are still buying it, thinking that it does something. I actually saw one guy, and he's not a dumb motherfucker. He's on my channel, and I appreciate him commenting, that he said, well, I take a whopping dose of HMB with leucine after my workout. Well, if you're getting any effects, it's from the leucine. Drop the HMB. You don't need it, bro. Just keep taking the leucine if that's working for you. Fuck the HMB. I'm just telling you. This is science from NIH.gov. It's not bullshit. It's published literature. Now, cordyceps for building muscle, right? Cordyceps is a mushroom. We're going to talk about it in a second. So trust me, the stuff that's in T2G. Now, again, we have Shilajit in here. Those of you that saw my other video about turkestrone versus Shilajit, Shilajit is unbelievable. Just that one compound. Now, cordyceps, we're going to tell you what that does, right? So it does boost exercise performance, right? This is on NIH.gov. Cordyceps increase the body's production of the molecule adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which is essential for delivering energy to the muscles. This may improve the way your body uses oxygen, especially during exercise. So this is proven by fact in studies, and we're going to go to another study, NIH.gov, and it says, to date, this is really awesome. To date, and this is how how many people spin it as to being like, well, cordyceps doesn't do shit because the studies say it doesn't do shit. Hang on. To date, minimal research evaluating the use of cordyceps on human performance exists, especially for an acute time period. Results of the current study demonstrated that 1 week of supplementation with cordyceps containing mushroom blend did not significantly improve performance compared to placebo. And that's where people stop. They go, it didn't fucking work. Get this. However, 3-week supplementation period resulted in significant improvements in maximal oxygen consumption with potential improvements in ventilatory threshold and time to exhaustion, suggesting the potential for great benefits with chronic supplementation. All right, now let me break that down. If you take it for a minimum of 3 weeks, you will get the benefits of increased oxygen consumption as well as the ATP molecule being faster, replenished faster. So you're going to get results that are published. Now, it takes a while apparently to work in your system, right? Like many other things, I guess there has to be buildup in it. They don't really talk about that. It says, it says that although minimal benefits were observed with acute supplementation of cordyceps containing mushroom blend, consistent supplementation may benefit tolerance to high-intensity exercise. So they're even talking specifically about high-intensity exercise, which is what we do, okay? Which is not like fucking riding your bike around the park. No offense, that's great and fun to do, but that's not what we do. So if you might take cordyceps to ride your bike around the park and see nothing, it's specific for some reason to high-intensity exercise, potentially eliciting performance gains and through increases in training intensity and delaying fatigue. So they literally have studied this thing and found that it delays fatigue, helps you train harder in the gym. So essentially it's like kind of does what creatine does, but through a different pathway. So it's like if you're taking creatine and taking this together, it's like a 1-2 punch doing the same thing. ATP molecule, increase oxygen consumption utilization, right? So you're getting a fucking supplement when you buy T2G, cordyceps, Shilajit. We'll go over Sumaroot another time. But those two things alone in T2G beat the fuck out of HMB, beat the fuck out of turkestrone, beat the fuck out of all of them, and have the studies on NIH.gov that are published, peer-reviewed studies. And there's more than one of these guys. More than one time they talk about how well this shit works, taking over a prolonged period of time. Now, just like anything else, you're not going to take it for 3 weeks, right? You would probably be on it for a minimum of a month because each bottle is a month, right? 30 days. But most people would go on it for like an 8 or 10 week cycle or maybe a 12-week cycle, right? Nobody does just 4 weeks and jumps off it. I mean, if you're getting great results, you keep taking it. But it's usually 8 to 12 weeks before, you wind up going off it for whatever reason, if whether it's money or, you want to give your body a rest or whatever the case may be, or you go into like a deload, whatever. But the whole point is you're using the product like they're talking about in the study, right? So, you look at HMB, which has been studied and said, does shit. You have Cordyceps, which says, fuck, it does everything the HMB claimed to do, and fucking has been studied over and over again, and the facts are there. So I'm sitting back and I'm looking at this going, I laugh because cordyceps is something that I've known about for a long time, and I used it when I was younger, right? I used it. Did it work? Yeah, but it didn't work like steroids. I wanted the steroid gain, so I left all this shit behind. So when I finally got clean and got off all the fucking steroids, I was like, I need to go back to basics. Here we go with the back to basics shit again, right? I need to go back to basics and get back to what I know, right? What I know is before I got on steroids, I was using different things trying to get results. Now I'm just trying to maintain my muscle mass as I'm getting older, maintain my muscle mass, maintain my strength, and be relatively strong compared to the average person, not like a bodybuilder or a powerlifter anymore, but to try to benefit from this. Now, if it's somebody who's never taken steroids before, guess what? Products like this are going to fucking work well for you. They're not going to give you steroid gains, but I mean, nothing out there besides the steroids is going to give you those gains. But as far as supplementation or natural supplementation, things like cordyceps, things like shilajit, things like sumac root, they fucking work. Not only do they work in real life, but they got tons of fucking data to back it up. So be aware, guys. Stop fucking with these stupid fucking things that what's fucked up is you even look at it and there's no data behind it. And half of the people out there that are talking about this are people that claim to believe in science and claim to believe in the data. They don't even read the full studies, right? They don't even read what's really going on. They don't actually look at the new updated studies compared to something like HMB that came out fucking 25 years ago when I was 19 years old, right? And now we have new studies that have come out and said, hey, yeah, by the way, we study this every which way and it fucking sucks, right? What they do is they go with the marketing. So the people that are selling it will show you the old studies. You'll read that old study and go, holy shit, this stuff's the holy grail, right? What about the new study that the company didn't fucking tell you about? What about the new study that fucking says that it sucks, that they're like, yeah, don't look at that one over here. This is not a real study. This one's on NIH.gov. Where the fuck did this one come from? It's in fucking some university that nobody's ever fucking heard of. Done by people that's never fucking heard of it. That probably fucking Bill Phillip paid off, right? And I'm sitting here going, I don't even know. It sucks because people can be tricked so easy. They can be fucking tricked and led around by their fucking nose so easily to do what people want them to do in these marketing things. And I look at it like this. I'm look, I'm going to tell you guys, go out there and do your own fucking research, right? I mean, I know it takes time. You don't want to do that and you want to have somebody like me tell you. But everything I tell you, you're kind of scratching your head going, I don't know if I trust him. Meanwhile, the people you trust are fucking you over. And I'm like, I don't want to be part of any of this fucking bullshit. I'm just tired of watching people waste their fucking money. And I did it myself. Like, I was you guys. You don't even realize that. Why do you do this shit, Jerry? Because I was you. I wasted my time, I wasted my money, and I chalked it all up to a learning experience to be able to do what I do now. I have 32 years behind me of doing the things that you guys are doing now, failing and succeeding in different ways, trying everything under the sun out there, experimenting on myself, my clients, everything all throughout the years, right? I mean, there's experiments that I've done throughout the years that fucking studies have been done looser than the shit that I did. There were tighter shit that I've done where I knew what people were fucking eating. Where some of these studies that were done, they're like, I don't know what the fuck they ate. Well, what the fuck? Were they bodybuilding? Were they training with fucking weights? Like, what the fuck? Resistance training. What does that mean? Resistance training, you can do a whole body routine of 15 reps and barely get a fucking pump. Is that the same thing as what we're doing? No. So I've been in the trenches doing this over and over and over again for decades, seen things, learned things. But because I don't have the PhD or the fucking lab coat, like, we don't trust Jerry. But the information's right in front of your fucking face. You don't have to trust me. Trust your own eyes. If you can't trust your own eyes, who can you trust? BioStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStreet.com is a blog, T2G description box, and we are out.